Good evening. In 1994, the state Supreme Court wrongly upheld Rochester's ban on so-called assault weapons on the false grounds, A, that the Second Amendment conferred a collective right rather than an individual one, and B, that the Second Amendment only restrained Congress, not state and local governments. The former ground was struck down by the U.S. Supreme Court in the 2008 D.C. v. Kessler decision, and as you may have heard, the latter ground was struck down last month in the McDonald v. Chicago decision. There is an abundance of research to show that so-called gun control, or more accurately, civil disarmament, not only fails to reduce violent crime, but actually increases it. In this book, More Guns, Less Crime, for example, John Lott details his study of crime statistics in all 3,054 counties in the United States. In every county, when civil disarmament laws are eased or repealed, violent crime goes down. This reduction is especially pronounced in counties with major urban centers such as Monroe. The per capita reduction in violent crime is higher in poorer counties than in richer ones. The per capita violent crime reduction is higher in counties with high population density than in counties with low population density. The per capita violent crime reduction is higher in counties with large racial minority populations than in counties that are mostly white. However you slice it, Rochester stands to benefit from abolishing civil disarmament. Each and every one of you took an oath or affirmation upon entering office to support the Constitution of the United States. The council members who were here to vote for this atrocious law, the mayor who signed it, and the corporate counsel who defended it in court had an excuse for not knowing what the Second Amendment means. Their excuse was pitiful, but at least they had one. You, however, do not. The Second Amendment confers an individual right, and it restrains local governments. That means you can no longer rely on the rational relationship test, but must meet the strict scrutiny test. Ordinance number 93-62 fails that test because the classes of firearms described therein generally have very little connection with crime. Your constitutional duty now is to repeal Rochester's ban on so-called assault weapons. Thank you.
Recent decisions by the United States Supreme Court have brought about a sea change in American jurisprudence with regard to the Second Amendment. In D.C. v. Kessler, the Second Amendment was held to be an individual right. In the recent case, McDonald v. Chicago, the Second Amendment was incorporated under the 14th Amendment, thereby applying it to states and municipalities. These decisions bring into question Section 47-5 of the Rochester City Code, as amended in 1993 by Ordinance number 93-62. This is more commonly known as Rochester's so-called assault weapons ban. Of course, this is one of those feel-good laws which is completely useless at preventing crime. However, what concerns us today is not the questionable efficacy of this law, but rather its constitutionality or lack thereof. In 1994, a lawsuit was brought against this ordinance, namely Citizens for a Safer Community versus the City of Rochester. The law was upheld by Justice Charles Saragusa on two grounds. One, that the Second Amendment was a collective right, and two, that the Second Amendment was not incorporated under the 14th Amendment, and therefore only applied to federal law. Both of these precedents have now been overturned by the United States Supreme Court. Therefore, Ordinance number 93-62 appears to be unconstitutional. One can't help but be reminded of another feel-good law, which was also completely useless at preventing crime. I refer, of course, to the curfew. Like many cities, Rochester faces fiscal challenges as a result of the ongoing recession. I can only hope that as we move forward, the City of Rochester will not once again waste valuable resources defending an unconstitutional law. For this reason, I urge the Council to repeal Ordinance number 93-62 before any unnecessary legal expenses are incurred. I urge you to take my advice seriously. There is no shortage of people willing to donate their time and money to taking this law off the books, Let's do it the easy way this time. Thank you for your time.